The man sitting in the defendant's chair doesn't look like a criminal. His name is Raymond Torres. He's 52 years old. His skin looks pale, almost gray. Dark circles sit under his eyes like bruises. His hands rest on his knees. They're shaking slightly. Not from fear, from exhaustion. Judge Frank Caprio looks down at the file in front of him. Case number 2025, TR 84932. The charge is simple: driving on a suspended license. It happens every day in this courtroom. But something about this case feels different. The judge can sense it. The bailiff, a stern-looking man named Thomas Reed, calls the court to order. All rise. The Honorable Judge Frank Caprio presiding. Everyone stands. The judge enters and takes his seat. "Please be seated," he says. His voice is calm, reassuring. It makes people feel like they're being heard, not judged. "Mr. Torres," Judge Caprio says. His voice is gentle. "Can you tell me what happened?" Raymond takes a breath. It sounds raspy, like his lungs are working too hard. "Your Honor, I know I shouldn't have been driving. I know my license was suspended, but I had to get to dialysis." The word hangs in the air. Dialysis. Judge Caprio leans forward. He removes his reading glasses and sets them on the bench. "Tell me more about that. I want to understand your situation completely." Raymond's voice is quiet. He speaks slowly. Every word seems to cost him energy. "I have kidney failure. End stage. I need dialysis 3 times a week. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. For hours each time. If I miss even one session, I could die. My doctor told me that. She said toxins build up in my blood. My heart could stop. My lungs could fill with fluid. It's not like skipping a dentist appointment. It's life or death." A woman in the gallery puts her hand over her mouth. This isn't what anyone expected. The man next to her leans forward. He wants to hear every word. The courtroom, usually filled with shuffling papers and quiet conversations, is completely silent. "The dialysis center is 12 miles from my apartment," Raymond continues. "I don't have anyone who can drive me. My wife passed away 2 years ago. Cancer. My daughter lives in California. She has her own family, her own job, 2 kids. She sends me money when she can, maybe $50 a month. But she can't fly across the country 3 times a week. I wouldn't ask her to do that. She has her own life." Judge Caprio writes something down. His expression is serious, focused. You can see his mind working, processing. "What about public transportation? Or medical transport services? I know the city has some programs." Raymond's shoulders slump. The weight of his situation seems to press down on him physically. "I tried, Your Honor. I really did. I called every number I could find. The bus stop is 8 blocks from my apartment. That doesn't sound like much. But when you're sick like I am, when your body is failing, 8 blocks might as well be 8 miles. I can barely walk 1 block without getting dizzy, without feeling like I'm going to pass out. Last month, I tried to walk to the bus stop. I made it halfway. I had to sit down on someone's front steps for 20 minutes. An old lady came out and asked if I needed an ambulance. I said no. I was embarrassed." He pauses, swallows hard. His throat looks dry. The clerk, a middle-aged woman named Maria Santos, quietly pours him a glass of water from the pitcher on her desk. She walks it over to him. Raymond takes it with trembling hands. "Thank you," he whispers. He drinks. The water seems to help him continue. "The medical transport services," Raymond says, setting down the glass. "They have a waiting list. 3 months long. I got my name on it, but that was only 4 weeks ago. So I have 2 more months to wait. 2 more months of figuring it out on my own." The woman on the phone was nice about it. She said they're understaffed. Too many patients. Not enough drivers. She said she was sorry. I told her I understood. Because I did. It's not her fault the system is broken. "What about ride-sharing? Uber? Lyft?" the judge asks. He's not asking to be difficult. He's asking because he genuinely wants to understand why there were no other options. "I'm on disability," Raymond says. His voice cracks slightly. "I get $953 a month. That's it. That's everything. My rent is $700. I live in a 1-bedroom apartment in the old part of town. It's small. The heat doesn't always work. Sometimes the pipes make noise. But it's cheap, and the landlord doesn't ask too many questions when I'm a few days late with rent." He takes another breath. Speaking this much is clearly exhausting him. But he continues because he needs the judge to understand. The dialysis costs me $30 per session with my insurance. That's $90 a week. $360 a month. After rent and medical, I have less than $200 for everything else. Food, electric, phone, water, medicine. I take 8 different medications. Even with insurance, they cost me $40 a month. So now I'm down to $160. The electric bill is about $50. Water is $20. Phone is $35 because I need it for emergencies. Now I have $55 left for food for the entire month. That's less than $2 a day. The numbers land hard. People in the gallery are doing the math in their heads, realizing how impossible the situation is. I can't afford 3 Uber rides a week, Raymond continues. Each one would cost about $25. That's $75 a week. $300 a month. I did the math. I sat at my kitchen table with a calculator and a piece of paper. I tried every combination. Cut food down to 1 meal a day. Skip medications. Turn off the heat. Nothing worked. The math doesn't work. So I had to make a choice. Drive illegally or die. I chose to live. Judge Caprio sets down his pen. He looks at Raymond for a long moment. Really looks at him. Sees him. Mr. Torres, I want to understand something else. You mentioned your wife passed away. Can you tell me about that? About what happened? Raymond's face changes. Pain flashes across it. Raw and real. Her name was Elena. We were married 31 years. High school sweethearts. She was a waitress when we met. I was learning to be a plumber. We were both 19. Too young, everyone said. But we knew. You know when you know. A small smile crosses his face at the memory. It's the first time he's smiled since entering the courtroom. We built a life together, he continues. Saved up and bought a little house. Had our daughter, Sophia. Elena stayed home with her until she started school. Then she worked part-time at the library. She loved that job. Loved being around books. She'd come home and tell me about the people she helped. The kids who came in for story time. She had so much love to give. The smile fades. 2 years ago, she found a lump. Breast cancer. Stage 4. By the time they found it, it had spread. Lungs. Liver. Bones. The doctor said if we'd caught it earlier, maybe. But we didn't have good insurance back then. She'd been feeling tired for months. Had some pain. But we couldn't afford to go to the doctor for every little thing. So she waited. And by the time it was bad enough that she couldn't ignore it anymore, it was too late. His voice drops to barely a whisper. The treatments cost a fortune. Insurance covered some. But not enough. Not nearly enough. We had co-pays. Deductibles. Out-of-network specialists. Medications that cost $3,000 per dose. We sold our house. Got $50,000 for it. Used it all for treatment. Experimental therapies. Anything that might give us more time. We sold both our cars. My tools. Her jewelry. Wedding rings. Everything. Tears stream down his face now. He doesn't bother wiping them away. We moved into that apartment. We thought maybe if we could just hold on, maybe she'd go into remission. Maybe we'd have a few more years. We got 11 months. 11 months from diagnosis to death. She died on a Tuesday morning. I was holding her hand. She looked at me and said, "Take care of yourself, Ray. Promise me." Those were her last words. And I promised. But I'm not doing a very good job of keeping that promise. The woman in the gallery who had her hand over her mouth is crying now. She's not alone. Several people are wiping their eyes. The bailiff looks at the floor. His jaw is tight. Even the court reporter, a woman who's heard thousands of sad stories, has tears running down her cheeks. Judge Caprio takes a moment. He breathes deeply. When he speaks, his voice is thick with emotion. "Mr. Torres, I'm deeply sorry for your loss. Truly. And I want you to know that you are keeping your promise. You're fighting to stay alive. That takes tremendous courage." Raymond nods but doesn't speak. He can't. The emotion is too much. The judge looks at the police report again. He reads it carefully. Every word. "Officer Mendez pulled you over on Riverside Avenue at 2:15 in the afternoon on January 3rd. Is that correct?" "Yes, sir." According to his report, he says you were driving carefully. Very carefully, in fact. No speeding. You were going 28 miles per hour in a 35 zone. No swerving. No erratic behavior. You stopped completely at every red light. Used your turn signal for every lane change and turn. He wrote here, and I'm quoting, "Driver appeared to be operating vehicle with extreme caution." No safety concerns observed. The only reason he ran your plates was because your inspection sticker was expired. Raymond nods. I know. I saw the inspection was coming due. I took my car to the mechanic. His name is Luis. He's been fixing my car for 10 years. Good guy. Honest. He did the inspection check and told me the car wouldn't pass. The brake pads were worn down. Too thin. He said it was dangerous. That I needed to replace them before he could give me a sticker. I asked how much. He said $250 for parts and labor. He felt bad about it. He offered to knock off $50. Do it for $200, but I didn't even have that. But you were driving anyway, the judge says. It's not an accusation. It's a statement. A fact that needs to be acknowledged. I had to, Raymond says. His eyes are pleading. Desperate for understanding. That morning, I woke up feeling terrible. Worse than usual. My whole body ached. My hands were swollen. My ankles, too. I could barely stand. I looked in the mirror, and my eyes were yellow. I knew those were bad signs. Signs that my body was filling with toxins. That I needed dialysis immediately. But I knew if I didn't get to dialysis, it would get worse. Much worse. My doctor told me missing sessions can cause heart attacks, strokes, seizures, coma, death. I didn't have a choice. I had to drive. Judge Caprio writes more notes. His face shows the weight of what he's hearing. Mr. Torres, I need to ask you something difficult. Why didn't you call for an ambulance when you felt that sick? Emergency services would have taken you to the hospital. Raymond shakes his head quickly, like he's heard this question before and knows exactly why it's not an option. Your Honor, one ambulance ride costs $1,200. Even with my insurance, I'd owe at least $300. Maybe more. I already owe the hospital $42,000 for my wife's treatment and my own medical bills. I get letters every single week. Certified mail. Threatening letters. They're threatening to take me to court, to garnish my disability check. If they do that, if they take even a portion of my $953, I lose my apartment. I can't pay rent. I'd be homeless. He looks directly at the judge. Eye to eye. And you can't do dialysis if you're homeless. No address means no insurance. No insurance means no treatment. No treatment means death. So I can't call an ambulance. I can't add another $300 to a debt I can't ever pay. I'm already drowning. I can't take on more water. The reality of it settles over the courtroom like a heavy blanket. This man isn't a criminal. He's not reckless. He's not irresponsible. He's drowning in a system that's designed in a way that makes survival nearly impossible for people like him. Judge Caprio looks at the prosecutor. His name is David Klein. He's young, maybe 30, fresh out of law school 5 years ago. He's wearing a dark suit that still looks new. He's shuffling papers on his desk, looking uncomfortable. Mr. Klein, the judge says, I'd like to hear the state's position on this case. The prosecutor stands. He straightens his tie. Your Honor, the state acknowledges that Mr. Torres' situation is difficult, sympathetic even. However, the law is clear. Rhode Island General Law Section 31-11-18 states that operating a motor vehicle while one's license is suspended is a violation. It carries a mandatory fine of $500 to $1,000. The state recommends the minimum fine of $500. He sits back down quickly, like he wants to get it over with. Judge Caprio looks at him. His gaze is steady, intense. Counselor, stand back up, please. The prosecutor stands again. He looks nervous now. Mr. Klein, you're telling me that a man who can't afford $430 to reinstate his license should pay $500 for driving to save his own life. The prosecutor shifts his weight from one foot to the other. Your Honor, I understand the difficulty of the situation. I truly do. But if we make exceptions, where does it end? The law has to be applied equally. Everyone has a story. Everyone has a reason. If we let Mr. Torres off because he has a good excuse, then we have to let everyone off who has a good excuse. And then the law becomes meaningless. You're right, Judge Caprio says. Everyone does have a story. That's exactly my point. Let me ask you something, Mr. Klein. Do you have a car? Yes, Your Honor. What kind? A Honda Accord. 2023. Nice car. Reliable. Is your license valid? Yes, Your Honor. Have you ever had it suspended? No, Your Honor. Do you live alone? The prosecutor looks confused by the question. No, I live with my wife. Does she have a car? Yes. A Toyota Camry. So if your car broke down or if for some reason you couldn't drive, you have options. Your wife could drive you. Is that correct? Yes, Your Honor. Do you have family nearby? Yes. My parents live 20 minutes away. My brother lives in Warwick. So if both cars broke down, if your wife couldn't drive you for some reason, you could call your parents, your brother, a friend. You'd have options. I suppose so, yes. And if you needed medical treatment to stay alive, would you have health insurance? Yes, Your Honor. Through my job. Good insurance. Yes. It's pretty comprehensive. Judge Caprio nods slowly. Mr. Torres doesn't have any of those things. Mr. Torres doesn't have a wife who can drive him. He doesn't have parents nearby. His daughter is 3,000 miles away. He doesn't have friends with cars available 3 times a week. He doesn't have good health insurance. He doesn't have savings. He doesn't have options. What Mr. Torres has is a choice. Drive illegally or die. That's it. Those are his 2 choices. So I'll ask you again, Mr. Klein. What would you do? The prosecutor doesn't answer immediately. He stands there, thinking. The courtroom waits. After a long moment, he says quietly, I don't know, Your Honor. I honestly don't know. I appreciate your honesty, Judge Caprio says. Please sit down. The prosecutor sits. He looks like he's just learned something important. Something they didn't teach him in law school. Officer Mendez stands up from the back of the courtroom. He's been sitting quietly this whole time. Listening. Your Honor, may I speak? Judge Caprio looks surprised but pleased. Officer Mendez, please approach. The officer walks forward. He's about 40 years old. Tall. Broad shoulders. His uniform is crisp and clean. His badge gleams under the courtroom lights. But his face shows conflict. Internal struggle. Your Honor, I'm the officer who pulled Mr. Torres over. I want the court to know exactly what happened that day. Please proceed, the judge says. Officer Mendez stands at attention. Years of training evident in his posture. I was on patrol on Riverside Avenue. It was a Wednesday afternoon. Slow traffic day. I was sitting at the intersection of Riverside and Oak Street. Mr. Torres's vehicle passed me going westbound. Silver 2008 Honda Civic. I noticed the inspection sticker was expired. 2 months expired. That's a traffic violation, so I ran the plates on my computer. The system flagged the vehicle. Suspended registration due to suspended driver's license. He pauses, takes a breath. Protocol is to initiate a traffic stop. So I did. I pulled out behind the vehicle and activated my lights. Mr. Torres pulled over immediately. No delay. No hesitation. He pulled into a parking lot, put the car in park, turned off the engine. Hands on the steering wheel where I could see them. Everything by the book. The officer looks at Raymond. There's something in his eyes. Respect, maybe. I approached the vehicle. I could see Mr. Torres through the window before I even got there. He looked sick. Really sick. Pale. Sweating. His hands were shaking on the wheel. I tapped on the window. He rolled it down. I said, license and registration, please. He said, Officer, I know my license is suspended. I know I shouldn't be driving. But I need to get to dialysis or I'll die. Just like that. Completely honest. No lies. No excuses. Just the truth. Officer Mendez shifts his weight. I asked him if he needed medical assistance. If I should call an ambulance. He said no. He said he couldn't afford it. He said he just needed to get to the dialysis center. It was 2 miles away. 2 miles. I looked at him sitting there. Sick. Scared. Trying to stay alive. And I had to make a choice. What choice was that? Judge Caprio asks. Whether to be a cop or a human being, Officer Mendez says. His voice is thick. I ran his information. The suspension came up. Multiple unpaid parking tickets. I looked at his record. No criminal history. No DUIs. No reckless driving. Just parking tickets he couldn't pay. I went back to his car, and I said, Mr. Torres, I have to write you a ticket. That's my job. But I'm offering to drive you to your dialysis appointment myself. I'll call a tow truck for your car, and I'll take you where you need to go. Raymond speaks up. He did, Your Honor. Officer Mendez was very kind. But I couldn't let him do it. The tow would cost at least $100. And I'd still need a way home after treatment. 4 hours later. I couldn't ask the officer to wait 4 hours. And I didn't have money for a taxi home. So I told him I'd be okay. That I'd call someone. But there was no one to call, the judge says softly. No, sir. There wasn't. Officer Mendez continues. I knew he was going to keep driving. I could see it in his eyes. So I made a decision. I wrote him the ticket. But I told him, Mr. Torres, drive straight to the dialysis center. Don't stop anywhere else. Don't speed. Don't give anyone a reason to pull you over. He promised he wouldn't. I watched him drive away. And I felt terrible about it, Your Honor. I still do. I go home at night and I think about him. About whether he made it to dialysis. About whether he's okay. About whether the system I'm part of is actually helping people or hurting them. The officer's voice breaks. I became a cop to help people. To protect people. But that day, I had to choose between following the law and helping someone. I followed the law. And it's been eating at me ever since. Judge Caprio stands. This is unusual. Judges rarely stand during proceedings. But he does. He walks around the bench. He approaches Officer Mendez. Officer Mendez, you did exactly the right thing. You showed compassion within the constraints of your job. You offered help. Mr. Torres is the one who declined, and I understand why he declined. But you offered. That matters. The fact that you're here today, that you're telling the story, that you care about what happened to him, that tells me you're exactly the kind of officer we need. Don't ever lose that humanity. Don't ever stop caring. The world needs more officers like you. Officer Mendez nods. His eyes are wet. Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you for your service. And thank you for your honesty. You may return to your seat. The officer walks back. But he doesn't sit down. He stands at the back of the courtroom. At attention. Bearing witness. Judge Caprio walks over to Raymond. He stands right in front of him. Close enough that they're just two men talking. Not a judge and a defendant. Just two human beings. Mr. Torres, look at me. Raymond lifts his head. His eyes meet the judge's eyes. The law says you broke the rules, Judge Caprio says. His voice is soft but carries through the silent courtroom. The law says you should be punished. The law says I should fine you. Maybe even put you in jail for a few days. The law is very clear about this. Black and white. No gray areas. You drove on a suspended license. That's a violation. That's the law. Raymond's face shows resignation. He's expecting the worst. Preparing himself for it. But the law, the judge continues, his voice growing stronger, is not always just. The law doesn't account for impossible situations. The law doesn't care that you're a widower struggling to survive. The law doesn't care that you're doing everything you can with nothing. The law doesn't care that you tried every other option before getting in that car. The law is black and white. But life is not black and white. Life is complicated. Life is messy. Life is full of impossible choices. And sometimes, justice means looking beyond the letter of the law to find what's right. What's truly right. Judge Caprio turns to address the whole courtroom. His voice grows even louder. More passionate. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you what I see here. I don't see a criminal. I don't see someone who's reckless or irresponsible. I see a man who worked hard his entire life. A plumber for 28 years. A man who built a business. Who provided for his family. Who paid his taxes. Who followed the rules. A man who loved his wife so much that he sold everything he owned to try to save her life. A man who is now fighting every single day just to stay alive himself. He pauses. Lets that sink in. Mr. Torres drives on a suspended license not because he's reckless. Not because he doesn't respect the law. He drives because our system has failed him. He drives because medical care in this country costs too much. Because a dialysis session that keeps him alive for 3 days costs $30, and that's with insurance. Without insurance, it would cost hundreds. He drives because public transportation doesn't serve people like him. Because medical transport has a 3-month waiting list. Because ride-sharing costs more than his food budget. He drives because he fell through every safety net we claim to have. The judge's voice rises with passion. He drives because staying alive shouldn't require breaking the law, but in his case, it does. And that is a failure of our system. Not a failure of Raymond Torres. He should never have been put in this position. Never. But here we are. Judge Caprio walks back to bench. But he doesn't sit. He stands there, gripping the edge of the wooden bench. So here's what's going to happen. And I want everyone in this courtroom to hear this. I want everyone watching online to hear this. I want this to be crystal clear. The courtroom is so silent you could hear a heartbeat. Mr. Torres, I'm dismissing the charge of driving on a suspended license. I'm throwing it out completely. No fine. No penalty. Nothing on your record. As far as this court is concerned, this case never happened. The courtroom erupts. People gasp. Some start to clap, but stop themselves. The prosecutor stands halfway up, then sits back down. He's shocked. Raymond's mouth falls open. He doesn't understand what just happened. Judge Caprio holds up his hand. I'm not finished. Mr. Klein, you can object all you want. You can file whatever appeals you think are necessary. But this is my courtroom. This is my decision. I will not punish a man for trying to stay alive. I will not fine someone who's already drowning in debt. I will not add to the suffering of someone who's already lost everything. That's not justice. That's cruelty. And I won't be part of it. He looks back at Raymond. But I'm not done. Mr. Torres, you still have those original parking tickets. 7 tickets totaling $280. Plus the reinstatement fee of $150. That's $430 standing between you and a valid license. $430 that might as well be $4 million for someone in your situation. Raymond nods slowly. He knows. He's painfully aware. I'm paying that, Judge Caprio says simply. Raymond's eyes go wide. Your Honor, you can't. I can, and I am. I'm writing a personal check right now for $430. It will go directly to the Registry of Motor Vehicles. Maria, please make a note that I'll need the proper forms to submit this payment on Mr. Torres's behalf. I want his license reinstated by the end of the week. Is that clear? The clerk nods, writing frantically. Yes, Your Honor. I'll prepare the paperwork immediately. Judge Caprio pulls out his personal checkbook from inside his jacket pocket. It's worn. The cover is faded. These are his personal checks. Not court checks. Not government money. His own money. He writes carefully. Date. Pay to the order of. Amount. Signature. When he's done, he holds it up. Everyone can see it. $430. Made out to Rhode Island DMV. Signed Frank Caprio. People in the gallery are crying now. Not just the woman who first reacted. Multiple people. A man in the back has his head in his hands. A young woman is wiping tears with her sleeve. Even the bailiff has turned away, composing himself. But I'm still not done, the judge says. His voice is full of determination. Mr. Torres, your car needs an inspection. It needs brake work. You told us that costs $250. I'm paying for that too. I'm calling Tony's Auto Repair on Broad Street right now. Tony Benedetto is a friend of mine. We grew up together. I'm arranging for your car to be towed to his shop tomorrow morning. He'll fix the brakes. He'll do a complete safety inspection. He'll make sure your car is safe and legal to drive. And the bill comes to me. Not to you. To me. Raymond is sobbing now. Full body shaking sobs. Your Honor, I can't accept this. It's too much. I don't deserve. Don't you dare finish that sentence, Judge Caprio interrupts. His voice is firm but not angry. Don't you dare say you don't deserve this. You absolutely deserve this. You deserve so much more than this. You deserve a healthcare system that doesn't bankrupt you. You deserve transportation options that actually work. You deserve to keep your wife's memory alive without drowning in medical debt. You deserve dignity, respect, help. This isn't charity, Mr. Torres. This is justice. This is what should have happened months ago. This is the community taking care of its own. And you are part of our community. You matter. Your life matters. The judge looks at his clerk again. Maria, I want you to contact Providence Community Services immediately. I want to know what programs exist for medical transport. I want a complete list of every option. If there aren't good options, I want to know why. And I want recommendations on my desk by Friday morning for how to fix it. Contact the mayor's office, the health department, whoever you need to contact. I want answers. Maria nods vigorously. She's already making notes on her computer. Yes, Your Honor. I'll start making calls this afternoon. I also want you to contact Dr. Sarah Patel at Providence Kidney Center, the judge continues. Tell her I'd like to meet with her next week. I want to understand what barriers her patients face. If there are systemic problems preventing people from getting life-saving treatment, I want to be part of solving them. I want to bring together healthcare administrators, community leaders, and policymakers. This is bigger than one case. This is bigger than Raymond Torres. This is about fixing a broken system. He turns back to the courtroom, to the gallery full of people watching this unfold. Is there anyone here from a local church or community organization? Anyone who works with volunteer programs? For a moment, no one moves. Then slowly an older woman raises her hand. She's sitting in the fourth row. Her hair is completely white, pulled back in a neat bun. She wears a simple blue dress with a floral pattern. Small pearl earrings. She looks like someone's grandmother. She looks kind. "I'm here, Your Honor," she says. Her voice is soft but clear. "I'm Margaret Walsh. I volunteer with St. Mary's Parish. We run a community outreach program." "Mrs. Walsh, can you please come forward?" The woman stands. She moves slowly but steadily. Age has slowed her down, but hasn't stopped her. When she reaches the front of the courtroom, she stands next to Raymond. She looks at him with grandmotherly concern. The kind of look that says she's seen suffering before and she's not afraid of it. "Mrs. Walsh, thank you for being here," Judge Caprio says. "Can you tell me about your volunteer program?" "Of course, Your Honor. St. Mary's has been serving the Providence community for 68 years. We run a food pantry, a clothing closet, and a volunteer driver program. The driver program started about 5 years ago when we noticed many of our parishioners were missing medical appointments because they couldn't get transportation. We recruited volunteers who had cars and flexible schedules. Retired folks mostly. People who wanted to give back. We now have about 25 active volunteer drivers." "And do you have capacity to help Mr. Torres?" the judge asks. Mrs. Walsh looks at Raymond. Really looks at him. Takes in his pale skin, his tired eyes, his trembling hands. "We do. We absolutely do. Mr. Torres, what days do you need rides?" Raymond can barely speak through his tears. "Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I need to be at the dialysis center by 8 in the morning. The sessions last until noon. So I'd need a ride there and back. That's 6 rides a week," Mrs. Walsh calculates out loud. 12 miles each way. We can do that. I can't promise we can cover every single ride. Sometimes volunteers have their own appointments or emergencies. But I'd say we can cover at least 80 to 90%. And on the days we can't provide a driver, we have a small emergency fund. We can arrange for a rideshare or taxi. You won't miss dialysis. We'll make sure of it." She reaches out and puts her hand on Raymond's shoulder. The gesture is so simple but so powerful. Human touch, connection, care. "We'll take care of you," she says. "That's what we do. That's what community means." Raymond looks up at her. This stranger who just became his lifeline. "Thank you," he whispers. "Thank you so much." Judge Caprio watches this exchange. His expression is a mixture of sadness and hope. Sadness for what Raymond has endured. Hope for what this moment represents. "Mrs. Walsh, how much funding does your organization need to sustain this kind of help? To serve people like Mr. Torres?" Mrs. Walsh considers the question. "Well, Your Honor, we run entirely on donations. We don't get government funding. It's all individual donors and parish contributions. Most months, we're operating on about $4,000. That covers gas reimbursement for our volunteers, emergency rideshare vouchers, some administrative costs. We could serve so many more people if we had more resources. There's a whole community of people who need help but don't know we exist. Or they know we exist but we're already at capacity. I'd say if we had an extra $1,000 a month, we could double the number of people we serve." Judge Caprio nods slowly. He's doing calculations in his head. "Mrs. Walsh, I'm making a personal donation of $1,000 to your volunteer driver program today. Maria will have the check ready before you leave. But I'm also announcing here in open court that I challenge everyone watching this case, whether you're in this room or you see it online, to donate to organizations like St. Mary's. $5, $10, $20, whatever you can spare. These are the groups that actually help people, that actually save lives. They're doing the work that our government systems should be doing, but aren't. They deserve our support." Mrs. Walsh's eyes fill with tears. "Your Honor, that's incredibly generous. That will change lives. Truly. You're the one changing lives, Mrs. Walsh. I'm just trying to help you do it. Thank you for your service. Thank you for being here today. Mr. Torres is lucky to have found you. Or rather, you found him." Mrs. Walsh smiles. She squeezes Raymond's shoulder one more time before walking back to her seat. But she doesn't sit down immediately. She pulls out her phone. She's already making calls. Setting up rides. Making it happen. Because that's what people like Margaret Walsh do. They see a need, and they fill it. Judge Caprio looks at the prosecutor. David Klein is still sitting at his table. He looks stunned. Overwhelmed. "Mr. Klein, I know you were just doing your job. You were following the law as it's written. I don't fault you for that. But I want you to think about something. Every case that comes through this courtroom has a human being at the center. Not just a case number. Not just a violation. A person with story. With struggles. With dignity. With worth. The young prosecutor nods. He's listening. Really listening. Before you recommend a punishment next time, the judge continues, I want you to ask yourself a question. Does this punishment serve justice, or does it just serve the law? Sometimes they're the same thing. Sometimes they're not. When they're not, I want you to have the courage to stand up and say so. To recommend mercy. To recommend common sense. To recommend humanity. Can you do that? Yes, Your Honor, Klein says. His voice is sincere. I can. I will. Good, because the law is important. Order is important. But people are more important. Always. Never forget that. The judge sits back down. Finally, he looks exhausted. Like the weight of the world has been on his shoulders for the last hour. And in a way it has. He picks up his gavel. Mr. Torres, do you have anything you'd like to say before I close this case? Raymond stands. His legs are shaky. He grips the table in front of him for support. He takes a deep breath. When he speaks, his voice is stronger than it's been this whole time. Like something inside him has been restored. Your Honor, I don't have the words to explain what this means to me. Thank you doesn't feel like enough. You didn't just help me today. You gave me my life back. You gave me hope. For 2 years, I've been living in darkness. Ever since Elena died. Ever since my health failed. Ever since I had to close my business. I've been drowning. Sinking. Disappearing. I felt like I didn't matter anymore. Like I was invisible. Like the world had moved on without me. His voice cracks, but he continues. But you saw me. You really saw me. Not just a case number or a problem or a violation. You saw me as a person. As someone who matters. As someone worth helping. And you didn't just see me. You did something about it. You used your power to lift me up instead of pushing me down. You showed me that there are still good people in the world. People who care. People who help. Tears stream down his face. I promise you, Your Honor, I won't waste this chance. I'll drive safely. I'll follow every rule. I'll take care of my health. I'll go to every dialysis appointment. And when I'm stronger, when I'm in a better place, I'll find ways to help other people. I'll volunteer with Mrs. Walsh's program. I'll share my story so others know they're not alone. I'll pay forward what you've done for me. That's my promise to you. Judge Caprio's eyes are wet now too. Mr. Torres, you don't owe me anything. You owe it to yourself to take care of your health. To keep fighting. To keep going. Because your life matters. You matter. You always have. You always will. The fact that you couldn't see that the system made you feel invisible, that's the real crime here. Not your suspended license. The real crime is that we live in a country where people like you have to choose between following the law and staying alive. That's what needs to change. And I'm going to do everything in my power to change it. He picks up the gavel. This case is dismissed. Mr. Torres, you're free to go. And when you walk out of this courtroom, you walk out with a clean record, a valid license on the way, a safe car being repaired, and a community ready to support you. You're not alone anymore. You never have to be alone again. He brings the gavel down. The sound echoes through the courtroom. Bang. But nobody moves. Not at first. Because what just happened was too big to process immediately. Too profound. Too moving. People sit in stunned silence. Processing. Feeling. Then someone in the back starts clapping. Just one person. A slow clap. Then another person joins. Then another. Within seconds, the entire courtroom is standing and applauding. The sound is thunderous. It fills the room. Echoes off the walls. People are clapping and crying at the same time. Raymond Torres stands there overwhelmed. He doesn't know what to do. Where to look. He turns to Judge Caprio. He places his hand over his heart. He mouths the words, "Thank you," one more time. The judge nods. He understands. No more words are needed. Mrs. Walsh appears at Raymond's side. She's already talking. Already planning. I'm calling my friend Dorothy right now. She's one of our best drivers. Very reliable. I'm going to have her pick you up on Friday for your next appointment. 8 o'clock sharp. She'll be there. And I'm giving you my phone number. You call me if you need anything. Anything at all. Okay. Raymond nods, still crying. Okay. Thank you. Officer Mendez walks up. He extends his hand. Raymond takes it. They shake. I'm glad it worked out, the officer says. I'm really glad. Thank you for being kind that day, Raymond says. You didn't have to be, but you were. We're all human, Officer Mendez replies. Sometimes we forget that. Today reminded me. The prosecutor, David Klein, approaches hesitantly. He looks uncomfortable but determined. Mr. Torres, I'm sorry. For recommending the fine. For not seeing the bigger picture. I should have done better. Raymond looks at him. There's no anger in his eyes. Just understanding. You were doing your job. I don't blame you. Still, Klein says, I learned something today. Something important. So thank you for that. They shake hands too. As the courtroom slowly empties, people stop to talk to Raymond, to wish him well, to offer their own help. A woman gives him her phone number and says her husband owns a restaurant and they have extra food at the end of each day if he ever needs it. A man says he works at a pharmacy and knows ways to get discounts on medications. An elderly couple says they live near the dialysis center and if he ever needs a ride, they're available. It's an outpouring of community, of humanity, of connection. Raymond collects phone numbers, names, offers of help. He feels like he's gone from having no one to having an entire village supporting him. Judge Caprio watches from the bench. He's still sitting there, observing. His clerk, Maria, approaches with a folder. Your Honor, I have the forms for the DMV payment. I'll process them this afternoon. Mr. Torres should have his license reinstated by Thursday. Thank you, Maria. And please set up that meeting with Dr. Patel. I want to get started on the transportation initiative right away. Already done. She can meet with you next Tuesday at 10. The judge smiles. You're efficient as always. I learn from the best, she says with a warm smile. When the courtroom finally empties, when it's just Judge Caprio and the bailiff left, the judge stands. He stretches. His back hurts. His head aches. Emotional exhaustion is as draining as physical exhaustion, sometimes more so. The bailiff, Thomas Reed, approaches. He's been working with Judge Caprio for 12 years. He's seen thousands of cases, but his eyes are red right now. That was something special, Judge. Really special. That was justice, Thomas. That's what we're supposed to be doing every day. We just forget sometimes. You didn't forget today. No, I didn't. But one case isn't enough. We need to fix the system. We need to make sure Raymond Torres is the last person who has to drive illegally to stay alive. You really think you can change things? Thomas asks, not skeptically. Hopefully. I have to try, the judge says. What else are we here for? That evening, a local news reporter named Jessica Chun gets a tip about what happened in the courtroom. She starts making calls, getting details. By 9 o'clock, she has enough to run a story. She films a segment for the 10 o'clock news. An extraordinary moment of compassion and justice unfolded today in Providence Municipal Court, she says into the camera. Judge Frank Caprio dismissed a driving on suspended license charge for a 52-year-old dialysis patient and personally paid over $600 to help him. But it didn't stop there. The story airs. It shows footage of the courthouse, an interview with Mrs. Walsh, a statement from Judge Caprio about the need for systemic change. Within an hour, the station's website crashes from traffic. Everyone wants to see the story. Everyone wants to know more. By midnight, the video has been shared 10,000 times on social media. By the next morning, 50,000. By the following evening, 3 million. Comments pour in from around the world. This is what justice should look like. I'm crying at my desk right now. This judge is a hero. That man deserved help, not punishment. We need more judges like this. I'm donating to St. Mary's right now. That last comment becomes a movement. People start donating. $5, $10, $100. Some donate 1,000. By the end of the week, St. Mary's volunteer driver program has received $84,000 in donations. Mrs. Walsh can't believe it. She has to hire an accountant to manage the funds. She has to expand the program, recruit more volunteers, buy vehicles, create a formal system. What started as a small parish outreach program becomes a citywide initiative, then countywide. Within 6 months, there are similar programs in 12 cities across Rhode Island, all because of one case, one judge, one moment of choosing humanity over bureaucracy. 6 weeks after the court case, Raymond Torres sits in the waiting room at Providence Kidney Center. It's Wednesday morning, 8 o'clock, right on time. He hasn't missed a single appointment, not one. He looks different, better. His color has improved. Not healthy, but healthier. He's gained 7 pounds. The dark circles under his eyes are lighter. He's wearing clean clothes, donated by someone from St. Mary's. He shaved this morning. He even smiled at himself in the mirror. His car is parked outside in the patient lot. Legal. Inspected. Safe. The inspection sticker glows bright green in the corner of the windshield. Valid until next January. Every time Raymond sees it, he feels overwhelming gratitude. Today he drove himself. Mrs. Walsh's volunteer, Dorothy, called yesterday to say she had a doctor's appointment this morning and couldn't drive him. She apologized profusely. Raymond told her not to worry, that he could drive himself now. Legally. Safely. The freedom of that still feels miraculous. Dr. Sarah Patel walks into the waiting room. She's in her early 40s. Sharp, intelligent eyes. Kind smile. She's been Raymond's nephrologist for 14 months. She knows his case inside and out. Good morning, Raymond. Ready for treatment? Ready, he says, standing up. As they walk down the hallway to the dialysis room, Dr. Patel says, I met with Judge Caprio last week. We had a long conversation about transportation barriers for dialysis patients. He's incredibly passionate about fixing the system. We're working with the city to launch a pilot medical shuttle program. It should start in about 3 months. Raymond smiles. He's doing all that. He is. He brought together hospital administrators, the mayor's office, community organizations, and healthcare advocates. He's not just talking about change, he's making it happen. You inspired him, Raymond. He inspired me, Raymond says quietly. They reach the dialysis room. It's a large space with 12 reclining chairs arranged in 2 rows. Machines next to each chair. Quiet beeping. Soft conversations. Other patients are already hooked up to their machines. Raymond knows most of them by now. They've become a strange kind of family, united by illness, by the shared experience of needing a machine to filter their blood to stay alive. Jennifer, the nurse, greets him with a warm smile. She's been doing his dialysis since the beginning. She's in her late 50s, has been a dialysis nurse for 23 years. She's seen everything, but she still treats every patient with dignity and care. How are you feeling today, Raymond? Good. Really good. Your numbers were excellent last week. Keep doing whatever you're doing. She gets him settled in the chair, adjusts the recline, covers him with a warm blanket, checks his access point, the fistula in his left arm where the dialysis needles go in. It's healed well. No infections. No complications. She inserts the needles. Raymond barely flinches anymore. He's used to it. The machine starts up. The familiar rhythmic beeping. His blood flows out through one tube, through the filter that removes toxins and excess fluid, back into his body through another tube. The machine does what his kidneys can't do anymore. For hours. 3 times a week. This is his life now. This machine keeps him alive. But he's not complaining. He's grateful. Grateful to be alive. Grateful for Judge Caprio. For Mrs. Walsh. For Dr. Patel. For Jennifer. For Officer Mendez. For the entire community that rallied around him. While the machine runs, Raymond pulls out a small notebook and pen. He's been writing. Not much. Just thoughts. Reflections. His daughter Sophia suggested it. Said it might help him process everything that's happened. He opens to a fresh page and writes. Today is February 14th. I've been coming to dialysis for 14 months now. Today feels different though. Today I feel hope. Real hope. Not just surviving. Actually living. Judge Caprio gave me that. Not just with his money. With his compassion. With seeing me as human. I will never forget what he did. I will spend the rest of my life trying to deserve it. Trying to help others the way he helped me. That's my promise. To him. To Elena. To myself. He closes the notebook. Leans back in the chair. Closes his eyes. The machine beeps steadily. The sound that used to frighten him now comforts him. It means he's alive. It means he has more time. He thinks about his wife. Elena would be so proud of him. She always told him to keep fighting. To never give up. To believe that good people exist in the world. She was right. He thinks about his daughter. Sophia calls him every Sunday now. They talk for an hour. She's planning to visit in the spring. Bring the grandkids. He hasn't seen them in person in over a year. He can't wait. He thinks about Judge Caprio. About that moment when the judge walked away from the bench and looked him in the eye. About the check written from a personal account. About the care given to a complete stranger. about justice that actually felt just. Raymond makes a silent vow. When he's stronger, if he gets his transplant, if his health improves, he'll volunteer. He'll help Mrs. Walsh's program. He'll drive other patients to dialysis. He'll tell his story to anyone who will listen. He'll advocate for changes in the healthcare system. He'll turn his suffering into something meaningful, something that helps others. For now, he'll focus on each day, each treatment, each small victory. Getting his license back, victory. Having a safe car, victory. Having rides when he needs them, victory. Having people who care, victory. These small victories add up. They create a life worth living. A life with dignity, with hope, with community. For hours later, the machine beeps its final sequence. Treatment complete. Jennifer removes the needles. Applies pressure to stop the bleeding. Bandages his arm. All done. See you Friday. See you Friday, Raymond echoes. He stands slowly. Lets his body adjust. Dialysis leaves him tired and weak for a few hours afterward. But he's learned to manage it. Rest for an hour. Drink water. Eat something light. The weakness passes. He walks to his car. The February air is cold, but the sun is shining. He takes a moment to just stand there, feeling the sun on his face. Breathing. Being alive. It's a small thing, but it's everything. He drives home carefully. Follows every rule. Stop signs. Speed limits. Turn signals. He's not taking any chances. Not after everything Judge Caprio did for him. When he gets home, there's a package waiting by his door. No return address. He brings it inside. Opens it carefully. Inside is a card and a small gift. The card reads, Raymond, thinking of you. Wishing you strength and health. You're not alone. The staff of Providence Municipal Court. The gift is a warm winter coat. Navy blue. Heavy. Quality material. His old coat was thin and torn. This one will actually keep him warm during the cold walks from parking lot to building. He sits down and cries. Again. Seems like he's been crying a lot lately. But these are good tears. Grateful tears. Tears of someone who's been seen. Who's been helped. Who matters. That evening, Judge Frank Caprio sits in his home office. It's late. Almost 11 o'clock. His wife, Joyce, poked her head in an hour ago and told him to come to bed. He promised he would. Soon. But there's work to do. On his desk are reports. Research. Proposals. He's been working on the medical transportation initiative every spare moment he has. He's met with city officials, healthcare administrators, budget directors, nonprofit leaders. Everyone agrees something needs to be done. The question is how, and who pays for it. He's proposed a hybrid model. City-funded shuttles for regular routes. Partnerships with existing volunteer programs like St. Mary's. Corporate sponsorships. Grant funding. A combination that spreads the cost and creates sustainability. The mayor is supportive. The city council is interested. The healthcare systems see the benefit. Patients who miss fewer appointments have better outcomes and lower emergency room costs. Everyone wins. If they can get the funding approved, the pilot program launches in 3 months. 5 vehicles. 3 routes. Serving an estimated 250 patients per week. It's not enough to solve everything. But it's a start. A real start. Judge Caprio leans back in his chair. He thinks about Raymond Torres. About the look on Raymond's face when he realized he wasn't being punished. When he understood that someone cared. When hope replaced despair. That's why the judge does this work. Not for recognition. Not for awards or media attention. For moments like that. For the ability to change someone's life. To use his position to help instead of harm. To choose compassion over rigid adherence to rules that don't serve justice. He thinks about all the cases he's heard over his career. Thousands of them. Most people don't realize that judges have discretion. That they can choose how to interpret and apply the law. That they can show mercy. Many judges don't exercise that discretion. They follow the letter of the law without considering the human impact. Judge Caprio has never been that kind of judge. He's always believed that justice should serve people, not punish them needlessly. That the courtroom should be a place where problems are solved, not where they're made worse. Raymond Torres's case crystallized that belief, made it concrete, showed him that one decision, one moment of choosing humanity can ripple outward, can inspire others, can create real change. His phone buzzes. A text message from Maria, his clerk. Even at 11 at night, she's working. Your Honor, just FYI, St. Mary's volunteer program received another $6,000 in donations today. Total now over $90,000. Mrs. Walsh says they're expanding to serve 3x as many patients. Thought you'd want to know. Judge Caprio smiles. He types back, "That's wonderful. Thank you for the update. Now go to bed. It's late." She responds with a smiley face emoji. He closes his laptop, turns off the desk lamp, walks upstairs to bed. Joyce is already asleep. He changes quietly, slips into bed, lies there in the dark thinking. He thinks about justice. Real justice. Not the kind written in law books. The kind that happens between people. The kind that sees humanity. That responds with compassion. That solves problems instead of creating them. He thinks about Raymond Torres. About whether he's okay tonight. Whether he's warm. Whether he has enough food. Whether he's feeling hope or still drowning in despair. The judge makes a mental note to have Maria check in with Mrs. Walsh tomorrow. Make sure Raymond is being taken care of. Make sure he's not slipping through the cracks. He thinks about all the other Raymond Torreses out there. The people struggling in silence. Making impossible choices. Drowning in systems that don't serve them. How many are there? How many need help but don't get it? How many end up in courtrooms being punished for trying to survive? Too many. Far too many. But Judge Caprio can't save everyone. He knows that. He's just one person. One judge. One courtroom. But he can save some. He can make a difference for the people who come before him. And maybe, if he's lucky, his actions will inspire others. Other judges. Other community members. Other people with power to use it wisely. To use it compassionately. That's the hope anyway. That's the goal. Change one life at a time. And maybe those changes add up to systemic transformation. Maybe Raymond Torres's case becomes a catalyst. A spark that ignites something bigger. Only time will tell. For now, Judge Frank Caprio closes his eyes and falls asleep. Tomorrow there will be more cases. More people needing justice. More opportunities to choose compassion over cruelty. More chances to make a difference. And he'll be ready. 3 months later, the Providence Medical Transportation Pilot Program launches. 5 bright blue vans with Providence Community Health Transport painted on the sides. Professional drivers. Set routes covering all major hospitals and clinics. Free for anyone who qualifies based on income and medical need. The ribbon-cutting ceremony is held on a sunny morning in May. The mayor is there. City council members. Healthcare administrators. News cameras. Community leaders. And Raymond Torres. Judge Caprio invited him personally. Asked him to be there. To see what his case inspired. What his courage and honesty created. Raymond stands in the back of a crowd. He's uncomfortable with attention. He's just a regular guy. But he's proud. Proud that his situation led to something good. Proud that other people won't have to make the impossible choice he made. Proud that the system is changing, even if just a little bit. Judge Caprio spots him. Waves him forward. Raymond hesitates, but comes. The judge puts his arm around Raymond's shoulders. Turns to face the crowd. "Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to meet someone important. This is Raymond Torres. His case brought this issue to light. His honesty and courage inspired all of us to do better. To be better. This program exists because of him. Raymond, thank you." The crowd applauds. Raymond's face flushes red. He's not used to this. But he nods. Accepts the recognition. Because maybe it matters. Maybe his story helps other people. Maybe his suffering had meaning after all. The mayor cuts the ribbon. The first van drives forward. The door opens. Raymond is invited to get on. To be the first passenger. He climbs aboard. The interior is clean and comfortable. Handrails for stability. Wide seats. Air conditioning. Music playing softly. The driver, a friendly man named Marcus, smiles at him. "Where to?" "Providence Kidney Center," Raymond says. "I have dialysis at 8. "I know exactly where that is," Marcus says. "That's one of our main stops. Buckle up." As the van drives away from the ceremony, Raymond looks out the window. He sees Judge Caprio watching. Their eyes meet. Raymond places his hand over his heart. The judge nods. Understanding passes between them. Gratitude, respect, connection. The van picks up 3 more passengers on the route. An elderly woman going to physical therapy. A middle-aged man heading to a cancer treatment. A young person with crutches going to an orthopedic appointment. They chat during the ride. Share their stories. Support each other. They're strangers, but they're united. By struggle. By need. By the kindness of a community that decided to help. Raymond listens to their conversations, realizes he's not alone, has never been alone. Thousands of people face these same barriers. But now there's help. Now there's support. Now there's a system that works for people instead of against them. When they arrive at the dialysis center, Raymond thanks Marcus. This program is going to save lives. You know that, right? Marcus smiles. That's the plan. See you Friday. See you Friday. Raymond walks into the dialysis center feeling lighter than he has in years. Not physically, he's still sick, still dependent on a machine to filter his blood. But emotionally, spiritually, he has hope. He has community. He has dignity. Dr. Patel meets him in the hallway. I saw the news about the new shuttle program. That's incredible. It really is, Raymond agrees. Judge Caprio is something special. He didn't have to do any of this. But he did. He saw me as human, Raymond says simply. That's all. He just saw me. And he cared. Dr. Patel nods. That should be the standard, not the exception. Maybe someday it will be. As Raymond settles into the dialysis chair, as Jennifer hooks him up to the machine, as the familiar beeping starts, he feels something he hasn't felt in years. Peace. Not because his life is perfect. It's not. He's still sick. Still poor. Still struggling. Still waiting for a kidney transplant that might never come. Still living day by day. Hour by hour. Treatment by treatment. But he has support. He has options. He has people who care. He has dignity. He has hope. And sometimes that's everything. The machine beeps steadily. The rhythm of life. The sound of second chances. The promise of tomorrow. Raymond closes his eyes and thinks of Elena. Of Judge Caprio. Of Mrs. Walsh and Officer Mendez and Dr. Patel and Jennifer and all the people who showed up when he needed them most. Thank you, he whispers to the universe. To God. To whoever is listening. Thank you for not giving up on me. And somewhere across the city, in a courtroom where justice is more than a word, Judge Frank Caprio hears another case. Another person struggling. Another impossible situation. And he chooses compassion. Again. Because that's what justice looks like when it remembers to be human.